off Gimel on the base. We're about halfway, just past halfway in the wide lines. We are learning today. If you like, please like, subscribe, post comments, ask questions. All good comments, all good questions will be read out. Not all good comments. We're learning to learn Nishmas. Alexander ben David, Rochabas, Yehuda. I forgot the name, Chaim ben Shlomo Kalman. Okay. We are talking about it. There's a few, we're going to be discussing a few sugyas today. First of all, how a person acts when he eats, vis-a-vis tefillin, going to the bathroom. We're going to be discussing where you can put your tefillin as far as your bed goes. We discussed yesterday taking tefillin into your bathroom. What about a guy has to go to sleep in a hotel? Where can he put his tefillin? I guess in those days, a hostel, you're worried someone's going to steal your tefillin. And maybe we'll see other things also. So, says the Gemara, right to the kanis l'suda. Someone wants to go to eat. It's an interesting way of saying it. You could say, right to the kanis l'suda. He's going into a sudas keva. So the medaik, it means only a sudas keva. He's going to have a proper meal. He's not going to have a snack. He's not having a banana. He's going into a sudas keva. Proper meal, 3 courses, bread, he's washing. So what should he do? He should walk 4 times 10 amas, or 10 times 4 amas, and he should go to the bathroom, relieve himself, and then he should go eat. So Rashi says what it means is after every 4 amas, or after every 10 amas, he should check if he needs the bathroom. He should check himself. Does he need to go to the bathroom? If not, go eat. And what's Rashi's dig after every 4 amas? How did Rashi extrapolate that from our gemorah? Because it could have just said, walk 40 amas. If it wanted you to walk 40 amas, it could say, do 40 amas. Yeah. Then the question is, how many times do you have to check yourself before you go to the bath, before you go eat? Now, interestingly, the question is the Achronim ask, so why does he not have to do this before you pray? When you pray, we didn't say that. We prayed, he said, check yourself. If you have to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. If not, pray. You do not have to start doing the marathon and checking yourself 4 times if you need to go to the bathroom. So what's the difference? Why is eating more chomer, so to speak, than praying? Good question. So I saw that Achronim asked, this is the question that hits everyone straight away. I saw that Achronim answer with 2 reasons. First of all, because if a person slightly needs the bathroom, there's some need he has to go, right? So for praying, he might not end up going to the bathroom. But if he eats, the food might push down the stuff in his stomach. It might speed up the process, however that works mechanically. He's gonna eat. It's gonna speed up the process. And now he's gonna have to go to the bathroom. Others want to say that it's more chamor because there's bezyenis involved in going to the bathroom. He's going to the suda, and for whatever reason, why does he have to check himself? It's a machlokes why he has to check himself. It's a 2-3-way machlokes. Why does he have to check himself? So one cheater is because it's a gunus. It's embarrassing, it's derogatory. You're sitting down at a meal with someone, he walks off to the bathroom. And I guess in those days it was more derogatory because the bathroom didn't have in-house bathrooms. You had to go out, maybe it was dirty, it was a whole big procedure, right? So it's like, you don't want to leave your suda in the middle, there's people there. Some say it's talking about specifically Talmud Chacham, where you're supposed to be elevated and refined. You don't want to have a meal with a guy who's like, I have to go to the bathroom in the middle. That's not good. So that's the first shita. Second opinion, why you have to check yourself before you eat is because of health reasons. That it's not healthy, according to the gemorah, to eat if a person needs a bathroom. You should first clean your body, then eat. It's not good. You're mixing the good with the bad. Others say it's more to do with you're like eating is like a korban. Talmud Chacham eats. It's like a sacrifice. What's a sacrifice? You're giving food up high. So when you eat, you're also bringing food to Gavaya for your Talmud Chacham. Like me, when you eat, it's like a korban, right? It actually says if you want to bring a korban bisman hazeh, what should you do? Bring food to Talmud Chacham. It's like you brought a korban. That's what the gemorah says. So you can't bring a korban that's full of dvar mulachlachim, dirty things, impure things. Go to the bathroom before you bring this korban. And therefore, this may only be talking about Talmud Chacham. So either way, it's more chama. That's why it's more chama than tefillah. For tefillah, you don't need to do this whole check, the whole procedure. But when you're going to have a suda, you bring a korban on the mizbeach. That's even greater than praying, so to speak, for Talmud Chacham. It's mamash a carbon, he should check himself, according to that opinion. Amar of Yitzchak, says Rav Yitzchak, Hanichnas l'sudas keva, someone's about to eat a sudas keva, chayletz tfilah v'ach kach nichnas. You should first take off his tefillin, then you should eat. Don't eat with your tefillin on. Obviously, there's also machlekes. Why should you not eat with your tefillin on? Either it's because it's we're worried you're going to get drunk. In those days, every meal had wine in it. There's a chash, shikras. You're not allowed to be shikra with your tefillin on. So you have to take off your tefillin before you eat. Others say no, it's because hesach hadas. You're not allowed, when you're wearing tefillin, you're not allowed to take your mind off your tefillin. And it's actually a massive machlekes, Rambam and Ramban, what is considered hesach hadas. Doing anything that you're not thinking about your tefillin, for example, if you sleep with tefillin, is that called hesach hadas? Rambam says it's only called hesach hadas, it's only called not thinking about your tefillin if you have kalus reish, if you have lightheadedness. The problem with hesach hadas means you're not allowed to be joyful and playful or whatever it is. You're not allowed to be lightheaded. I don't mean physically lightheaded though. What's a kalus reish means? Why do you say kalus reish in English? You're not supposed to be fooling around. Fooling around is a problem. Being playful. You're supposed to be serious. Wearing a tefillin, you should be serious, right? That's how the Rambam understands that the problem with hesach hadas is only to kalus reish. Being lighthearted. I think that's what I was looking for. Lighthearted. Not lightheaded, lighthearted. And the Ramban says, no, that can't be true because we know that someone who's an oval can't wear tefillin either. And he's not lighthearted. He is very serious, he's mourning, but it's still considered kalus reish. It's still considered hesach hadas. So according to Ramban, the problem is anything you do that you're not thinking about your tefillin, hesach hadas. So here this guy's eating, you're not thinking about your tefillin, take it up before you eat. Hesach hadas. So one of the Achronim have a little bit of a machlekes. What's a sudas keva? Do you only have to take off your tefillin if you're having a proper meal? What about if you're just having a banana? The mashmais of gemorah is only if it's a sudas keva. Maybe only if it's sudas keva are you going to hesach hadas? Are you going to get drunk? If not, if you're just going to have a banana, you can keep your tefillin on. So it says the gemorah, pliga the Rav Chia. This memra that we saw argues on Rav Chia. Why? Reb Chaim says he should put it on the table, and that's hodolai. That's beautiful for him. Some say it means because tefillin is a pe'er, it's a hodol that he could put tefillin on right away afterwards. That's considered like it's hodol for him. It's beautiful for him to put it on straight away. So Amar of Nachman by Yitzchak, vademas. How long should he keep off the tefillin? How long should he remove the tefillin for? When should he put the tefillin back on? Azman bracha. When he's about to bench, Birchas Hamazon, he should put the tefillin back on. On the base. Halfway down in the white lines. Sorry. Azman bracha. Tani chada. We have a machlekes. Tzeirer adam tfilav im ma'isav ba'apar kesusoi. A person could put money in his tefillin bag, in his apar kesisai. Now it's a bit of a machlekes. What is apar kesusai? Rashi says apar kesusai is about 4 lines from the bottom. Suda shal roishai, some type of cloth that they wore on the head, some type of little knitted cap. So if you put your tefillin in your cap or your suda, whatever they had on their head, I don't know, some type of head covering that they had. So you can put your money with your tefillin in the cap. It's not a problem. Others say the other Rishonim say it's talking about an undergarment. They used to wear an undergarment under their outer garment, and that had a bunch of pockets. So you could put your tefillin in one pocket and your money in the other pocket. That's what it means. So one man almost says you could do that. Put it in your pakasusai. Don't put it in your cap. So what's the kasha here? Like kasha. There's no stira. There's no stira between these two brises. Ha the azmanei, ha the loy azmanei. When can you put it in your cap? When you didn't decide this is going to be a tefillin bag, right? But if you mazman it, if you dedicated this is going to be my tefillin bag, then you can't put money in together with the tefillin bag. In other words, the tefillin bag has got a level of kedusha, sanctity, and once you've dedicated this to be a tefillin bag, specifically only for your tefillin, you can no longer put money in it.
What if money is for tzedakah?
It doesn't seem to make a difference. I mean, if the money is also hektish and you're not allowed to use it, then maybe that's okay. You're saying the money itself is hektish. Can you use this tefillin bag for other hektish purposes? I don't see that. There is a huge machlokes Rishonim. What does it mean you dedicated the tefillin bag? You dedicated this bag for tefillin. Does that mean, according to Ramban, it could be as long as the Pasha says, you think about it. I want this to be my tefillin bag. Ramban says you have to say. You got to say, this is my tefillin bag. You show a friend, you see my new tefillin bag I bought. That's called you said it. Oh, look, there's my tefillin bag. That's called, it's a tefillin bag now. You said, this is my tefillin bag. Other Rishonim say, no, you got to actually pick it up. You got to say, this is my tefillin bag. No, it's not enough just to say it's my tefillin bag. You actually have to do a maisa. The Ran goes to fast and say you have to treat it like a tefillin bag. It's not just enough to pick it up and say this is my tefillin bag. You got to put your tefillin inside. You have to actually treat it like a tefillin bag. Then it becomes a tefillin bag. It's not enough to say, this is my tefillin bag. You got to do a maisa, even if you don't put your tefillin in it, but you iron it, you cleaned it for tefillin. You got to actually start acting like it's tefillin. It's not enough just to hold it. Yeah? Okay. So says the gemorah, the Amar of Chisda. Rav Chisda says, "Hi sudu the tefillin, the azmanei lemeitza beit tefillin." This tefillin bag that a guy decided, dedicated to be his tefillin bag. So beit tefillin, you can put tefillin in, but also lemeitza beit pshita. You can't put anything else in. Pshita means any other pshiti. Rashi says chulin. You can't put anything else as chulin. So once you've dedicated to be a tefillin bag, you can no longer use it for anything else. Azmanei v'loy tzarbei, but if you dedicate to be a tefillin bag v'loy tzarbei v'loy azmanei, or if you mazman it but you didn't put it in, or you put in but you want mazman it, in other words, you put your tefillin in a bag, but you didn't say this is my tefillin bag, you put it in a shopping bag, you didn't dedicate this to be a tefillin bag. So shari lemeitza bezazah, you can put money in. So you need to have azmon. It's not just enough they've used this bag for a tefillin bag. Now how's Abaye going to understand? Abaye the amazmana milsihi, and Abaye says that being mazmin itself, even if you don't put it in, azmon is enough. Once you said this is my tefillin bag, once you dedicated it, even if you didn't put your tefillin in, also, whether you put it in or you dedicated it, it's going to be also. So the machlekes there is whether you have to actually use it. According to Abaye, it's enough just to say, you don't have to use it. But if you didn't dedicate it, according to the second opinion, it's nothing. Putting it in without dedicating it, this is my dedicated tefillin bag. By Rav Yosef, Bereida Rav Nechunya, Rav Yehuda. So Rav Yosef, the son of Rav Nechunya, asked Rav Yehuda. Big sugya over here. Are you allowed to put your tefillin under your head? No one's ever asked me this kasha, right? Has anyone ever asked you this? Are you allowed to put your tefillin under your head, under your pillow? You go to sleep? I guess in those days they're traveling. A guy's traveling, he's in the forest, he's in a hostel, he needs to put his tefillin down somewhere. He doesn't want to put it in the drawer in the room, so I was going to take it. Because it took him 10 years to buy the tefillin, right? Can he put it under his head? So the Gemara says, Tachas magaloisav, under his legs, under his feet, like a body. That's not a kasha, under your feet. Of course you can't put it under your legs. That's disgraceful. You can't rest your feet on top of the tefillin. Imagine a guy's lying there, his feet are on top of the tefillin. So what's the kasha? What's the kasha under your head? You're allowed to put the tefillin under your pillow. Interesting, this week's parsha, we're going to learn about Yaakov. Yaakov putting the stones under his head, right? So I was just thinking, Yaakov didn't have tefillin. Where was the tefillin? He put the tefillin under his pillow. He slept on the rocks, not on his tefillin. So so what's the din? On Malay, he said to him, Shmuel. You know what Shmuel said? Muta. You're allowed to put your tefillin under your pillow. And guess what? Even if you're with your wife, you're allowed to put your tefillin bag under your pillow. Now this line is the source of a lot of controversy. Afilu ishtay imay. Take a look in Rashi. The very bottom line in Rashi, I think, is, where's this Rashi? Afilu ishtay imay. It's Well, the second last line in Rashi, Mai shaniach tefillin tachas mersheisav. Rashi says, B'layla kshu yoshen, when he's in bed sleeping. He's at home, he's in bed sleeping. And l'chayra ishtay yemai. So the kasha was not whether a guy's allowed to put the pillow under his bed if he's with his wife. He wants to go to sleep. I let him sleep on top of your tefillin. That's the kasha. Where'd you put your tefillin in a hostel? None to do with his wife. And he says, even if your wife's with you. Now, what does that mean? So some Rishonim, some Achronim understand that means he's with his wife. He's with his wife physically. Huh? He's with his wife. Not just she's in the bedroom with him. Of course, if she's in the bedroom with him, the Shulchan Aruch says, she's in the bedroom with him, it's like she's not there. It means that they're together physically, right? And he can have the thing under his pillow. So in that case, if that's the case, he has to have the tefillin, obviously, in a kli b'toich kli. One kli is not enough, one tefillin bag is not enough, you have to have two tefillin bags, and then he can have the tefillin bag, then he can be with his wife with the tefillin under his pillow, that's fine. But others want to say, I feel ishto means, no, it means she's in the room. She's in the room. They're not together physically, she's just in the room. And in that case, you don't need to have one kli. You wouldn't need to have two kli, or maybe you need two kli because maybe maybe he's going to be with his wife. But adkan, that seems to be a little bit of machlekes. So what are we referring to? So meisivei. We ask a question of Shmuel now. Shmuel said it's mutter even if you're with your wife. Lo yaniach, it says in the price, lo yaniach adam tefillin tachas mergaleisav. You can't put tefillin under your feet. That's a disgrace. But you can put it under your head. You're going to sleep. Also, this Bryce says if you're with your wife, it's also. So that's a kasha Shmuel. Shmuel says mutter, even if you're with your wife. And the Gemara says, tiyufta the Shmuel tiyufta. It's a bomb kasha on Shmuel. There's a kasha on the Bryce. Shmuel says you're with your wife. It's mutter. This Bryce says you're with your wife also. And the Brisa carries on because if he's with his wife, but the tefillin is 30 centimeters up or 30 centimeters down, then it's mutar. So the Chaim trying to explain the gemorah like this. If he's the first question is why does the gemorah not answer this kasha Shmuel and say, I'll tell you what the difference is. The Brisa is talking about when's it also? It's also for him to sleep with his wife. Shmuel's talking about just in the same bedroom. That's one kasha. The second kasha is why doesn't the Gemara make a chiluk? Say, you know what the difference is between the two cases? Shmuel's talking about where it's in one kli or it's in no kli. Or Shmuel's talking about where it's in kli b'toich kli, two klis. Then it's mutter. And the Bryce is talking about when there's no kli. When is it also to be? It's also to have. If the tefillin is not in the kli b'toich kli, he can't be with his wife. That's another kasha that they ask on this Bryce. So l'chayra, what's happening is, it has to be, if the Bryce is talking about a case where he's sleeping with his wife, and it's also, so it has to be b'kli b'toich kli. Why? We have to be talking about a case where it's kli b'toich kli. Well, first of all, because the Bryce says that if it's above 3 tefachim, it's mutar. But if it's not kli b'toich kli, that's also. The person's not allowed to sleep with his wife in a bedroom where there's tefillin sitting there, unless it's in kli b'toich kli. So it has to be that the tefillin is kli b'toich kli. And it's still also, according to the Brisa. So you can't tell me that the Brisa is talking about kli b'toich kli, Shmuel's talking about, the Brisa is talking about one kli, and Shmuel's talking about two klis. The Brisa also must be talking about two kli, because the Brisa says, when it's on top of the Amud, it's fine. So the Brisa must also be referring to kli b'toich kli. So you're left with this big kasha Shmuel. You said it's mutar, even b'kli b'toich kli. And the Bryce says even kli b'toich kli is asur. That's a kasha Shmuel. The Gemara says Amarav Avagav the Tana Tiyufta the Shmuel Tiyufta. The Gemara says it's a bomb kasha Shmuel, no teretz. Amarav even Rava says Avagav the Tana Tiyufta the Shmuel. Hilchas say even though you've asked this kasha Shmuel from Brysa, we paskin like Shmuel. My time. Why? Turn the page. Chavdal top of the page. Why do we passing like Shmuel, even though there's a Brisa connected Shmuel? Kol l'nuturi tfei odif. Rashi explains protecting a tefillin is better than caring for its bizayin. We're worried about bizayin of tefillin, But if he doesn't put it under his pillow, it's going to get stolen. So protecting your tefillin, guarding your tefillin is more important than being shiny tefillin is more important than the design of the tefillin. I guess if it gets stolen, then there's going to be a lot more design than what's happening now. So everyone asks, how can Shmuel argue with the Brisa? How do we pass like Shmuel neged the Brisa? And the Brisa says it's also, he's saying it's mutter. What's he basing it on? So the answer is he's basing on the previous Brisa that we saw, that originally was also to go to the bathroom with tefillin because of bizayin. But they said to guard your tefillin. Nowadays, you can take your tefillin to the bathroom if it's going to get stolen. So you have another Brisa there that says being shayim your tefillin is more important than the bizayin tefillin. You leave it outside, it's going to get pinched. So here also, he's basing it on that we don't passing like this Brisa, we're passing like that Brisa over there. But the Achronim do make the Paiskim make a dig in this gemorah. They say, when can you put your tefillin under the bed? Kol neturei adif. Only if it's a protected tefillin. Only if you're worried that if it's not under your pillow, it's going to get stolen. But if you don't put it under your tefillin, it's designed for the tefillin to put a tefillin on the pillow. That there's no question about. You're not allowed to put your tefillin under your pillow. But if you're worried it's going to get stolen, to protect it, that's more important than worrying for the bizayin. That's the dik of the paiskim. You can't just stump it tefillin under your pillow. So ask the gemorah, v'heicho manach lehu. How are you putting your tefillin under your pillow? Where? Heicho, where do you exactly put your tefillin? It's under your pillow. You got a nice pillow, I think it's 70 by 50, my pillow. I'm in the business. 70 by 50. Amr v'yirmiyah bein kar lekeses. It's between your pillow and the sheets, your linen, your bed linen. Shalai keneged raisha. Don't put it directly under your head. So what's the chashash? If it's not under your head, what's the whole problem here? Let's see. V'atani Reb Chaim says, "Manichem b'koiva tachs m'shoysa." Reb Chaim said you can put it in a hat under your head, implying directly under your head. If it's in your koiva, you wrap it up, you fill it up in your hat, in your beanie. I don't know what they call these things, right? You can put it directly under your head. So Gemara answers the mapikle l'mursha de koiva lebar. A little bit, the box of the tefillin is like sticking out from outside, for under the part of your head. The tefillin's got like a bulge. That part's not under your head directly. So what they ask is, so what's the chiddush then? If it's not under your head, so what's the problem? If it's not under your head, it's on the side, that's sticking out, it's lebar, it's out. So what's the problem? So the answer is because it's in a tefillin bag, and the tefillin bag is kadosh. So you can't put the tefillin bag under your head either. The tefillin bag is under your head. And the tefillin bag you can't put under your head. But the tefillin is not under your head. So the chiddush here is that even though the tefillin bag is under your head, that's not going to be a problem. Says the Gemara, Tzayer luhu Bakapra, that was his name, the son of Kapra, Tzayer luhu bechilta. He would tie the tefillin to the bed sheet. I guess it means the thing that they had on top of the bed. They used to have, some beds had the thing hanging on top. What do they call it? The triangle-shaped thing, or canopy, either canopy or maybe means the sheet of the bed, skirt around the bed. Rashi says it means ureas, like the fabric, the urea, the fabric. I guess it means on top. So he tied the tefillin to his chilta, and he left the box of the tefillin stick out. Rav Shisha braid Rav Idi manach lo ashraf ashar shifa. He put the tefillin in the stool. Rashi says there used to be a stool at the edge of the bed with like a place to put stuff inside. So he put it in that benkel, in that bench. That's where he put his tefillin. I guess when he was traveling. And then he put like a sheet on top of it to cover it. Amar Rav Amnuna b'reid Rav Yosef. Rav Amnuna says, Zim nechada avakamina kameid Rava. One time I was with Rava. An interesting story. V'amali zil eisli tefillin. He says to him, go get me my tefillin. Go get tefillin from my room. And he found it between the pillow and the sheet, not under where the head goes. It seems to be implying that it was at the edge of the pillow, and no one sleeps at the edge. I don't know how he knew it was shleik keneged reishai. I didn't see anyone discussing it. In fact, I just thought about the discussion now. How does he know? He sees a tefillin under the pillow. How does he know shleik keneged reishai? Maybe that's where he slept. Unless that was the shape of the pillow, those keneged reishai, shleik keneged reishai. I don't know. V'aviyadana the yom tovel hava. Now he knew, right, that this was the day this was mikveh day. Rashi says, what do you mean it was mikveh day? That he knew that his wife went to the mikveh the night before. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says, Yom Tfilahu, about 7 lines higher up, Yom Shetov Le'ishtay. Dahavalei Lel Tashmish. He knows that it's the night that his wife went to the mikveh, meaning that, and he's going to be with his wife, or he was with his wife. He was with his wife. And Achronim with Fein, Leil Tashmish, you have to be with your wife, right? So he knew it was mikveh night, so he was with his wife, and still the tefillin were under his pillow. Now he says, gemorah halacha l'maisa David. Why did he tell me to get the tefillin? To teach me halacha l'maisa that even though a man's with his wife, he could put the tefillin under the pillow, and that's how you knowlege. Other Achronim say it doesn't mean it was her mikveh, because the Ramah says a woman has to hide when she goes to the mikveh. So what does it mean? He went to the mikveh. He went to the mikveh for carry the next morning. So he knew he went to the mikveh. What's the diak? Because it says Yom Tfilahu. It was a day of tefillah. Let's say Leil Tfilah Hava. If she went to the mikveh, she goes at night. But he went to the mikveh. He knows he went to the mikveh in the morning. Also, how does he know he went to the mikveh? She went to the mikveh at night. What? He's following her. He saw his rabbi go to the mikveh in the morning, and that's the normal thing. He knows he went to the mikveh. It was in the day. So I don't know why Rashi says that she went to the mikveh. It could be because otherwise, what's the chiddush? It could be if he went to the mikveh, he could have had accidental carry. It's not a vada carry. So what's he teaching him? He put the tefillin under his pillow, and who says that he knew he was going to have a carry? He didn't know. He had accidental discharge, so he has to go to the mikveh the next day. What's he learning from it? You could put the tefillin under your pillow. Others say there's a gemorah somewhere else. I can't remember. I'm not sure the details, but there's a gemorah that says that one time everyone knew when his wife went to the mikveh because she was sick and she had to go to a different town. And that's what we're talking about. It was that day that everyone knew. That's the story. And she had to go in the day because the Romans were saying it was dangerous to go to the mikveh during the day. At night, they would kidnap the women, so they went to the mikveh. There was a special takana that they could go during the day in that time. A whole bunch of terutzim, and that's why it says l'day. Okay. Take a look at the Gemara. The Gemara says, B'amnei Rav Yosef b'rei Rav Nechunya m'Rav Yehuda. Shnayim shesheinim b'mita achas. 2 people are sleeping. This is a very complicated Gemara. 2 people are sleeping on one bed. Mao, what should they do? 2 people are in bed, not wearing any clothes, and they've got to say Krishma. So what should they do? Each one should turn to the side and say Krishma. Now Taisus asks, take a look at Taisus, Vim Taima. Who cares if you don't see the guy next to you, your wife's erva, right? Vim Taima, he's not wearing any clothes. You can't say Krishma with liberate erva. You need to be wearing clothes to say Krishma. You have to have a chatzitza, something between your heart and your erva. So he says, his head, maybe his heart, it's outside the sheet. There is a sheet, his head or his heart's outside the sheet, wherever you need the chatzitza. Yeah, his heart, his head, that's outside. So he doesn't see his own erva. So he says, okay, his head doesn't see the erva, but his heart sees the erva. It could be this shita holds that there's no problem if your heart and your erva there's no chatzitza between them. Inami, he says, chatzitz bebigdai keneged libay. He's talking about a case where he's wearing a t-shirt, he's wearing a shirt. He's not wearing pants, he's wearing a shirt, he's wearing a pajama tops. So there's no problem with his libay reis erva. But the problem is that, we'll take a look in Rashi, that his erva sees her erva. Take a look in Rashi. What's going on over here? Fafiloi ishtai imai. 1 second. No, we got to see the next line more before we get to the Rashi. Sorry. So that's the din. Each one should turn to the side, right? Amalei said, Shmuel, did Shmuel really say this? Afiloi ishtai imai. Shmuel said that if he's with his wife, he can turn to the side and say Kriya Shema. Maskevil Yosef, Ishtay v'leim bayacher. His wife, he can do it. V'leim bayacher, and of course anyone else. His wife is. You don't need to ask for anyone else. If you could be there with his wife in bed and say Kriya Shema, Kal v'chaim as someone else. It's talking about small children. If small children are there, for sure you can say Kriya Shema. The gemorah asks, Adarabba. With his wife, it's more kal. It's not more chomer. With his wife, it's more kal. Why? Ishtay kegufay. One of the most famous lines in Shas. His wife is like Ishtay kegufay. His wife's like him. Rashi says, what does it mean Ishtay kegufay? V'ragulba. He's used to her. He's not excited when he sees his wife or he touches his wife. Or he's much less excited than anyone else. It's like his own body. It's like he's touching it's like you're touching your arm. It means nothing. Ragulba, you're used to it. V'leike hiru kulahai. He ain't getting too excited. He's not so excited if you touch your wife's elbow. Okay. Let's take a look at Rashi above. What are we talking about here? Rashi says, Sheyachzi panov. He could turn his face to the side. If they're lying there in bed, face to face, it's also to say Kriya Shema. Why? Rashi says his head's going to start wandering. Negias erva, if his private parts touch her. The problem is he's facing her, and his body parts are going to touch her body parts. He can't concentrate, he can't say Kriya Shema like that. That's not the way to say Kriya Shema.
You're talking about when he's in bed with another woman who's not his wife.
No. We're talking about now when he's in bed with his wife. When he's in bed with his wife, if he's facing her, if his private parts touch her, he's going to be mahara. He can't. I guess it was a small bed. It wasn't like they have nowadays 180 beds or I don't know what 120-inch beds. This is a small little bed. He's facing his wife. He's touching her. And even if he's not touching her, he's saying Kriya Shema. He might touch her. You're saying Kriya Shema all of a sudden. You stop being mahara. It's not right. The Rashba says it's not because of hirur. It's because of his Torah. He can't concentrate Kriya Shema. His Torah, his mind somewhere else. We're not worried he's going to start fantasizing about things. We're worried that he's touching her. So, and who's the achar in bed that we spoke about? He's talking about children. He's not have to be in bed with anyone else. He's talking about he's in bed with his small children, right? He gave his kid a bath. There's no towels. The baby is in bed without any clothes on. Can he say Kriya Shema? That's the question. So it's getting late, so we're going to wrap up over here, I guess. Let's just finish this one line. The Gemara says, Adrabah, ishta kegufay, achel lav kegufay. His wife is like his own body. Someone else is not like his own body. Meisivei. Why is that true? It says, Shnaim shishen b'mita achad. Two people are sleeping in a bed. Each one turns to the side. There's a different price that says, Hayoshin b'mita, if he's sleeping in bed, the bottom of the bnei beis v'tzidai, and he's with his kids in the bed. I say, Lo yikra Kriya Shema, don't say Kriya Shema. Elim Kain, what's the way out? Elim Kain, I use a talis, mafsekes b'neihem. You need to have a talis. You got to have bed linen covering between you. But if they're very, very small, then it's permissible. That's not called an erva. There's no, the Rishonim saying, there's no hero for a little baby. There's no problem. You don't need to have even a talis. So, just derech agav, interesting note. It says each one has to turn the other way. What if, are you allowed to say Kriya Shema if you turn the other way, but your wife didn't turn the other way? The Gemara says if you turn the other way, you can say Kriya Shema, you're not looking at her. The implication is specific. If she's looking at you, it's also not good. She has to look the other way also. Seems to be machlekes. You need to have both look the other way, or one's enough. All right, have a wonderful day. We have to end here. Okay, we're going.